So good morning. We are about to start our session. The session is on internet governance. We have a special interest group in APAN, and that is on internet governance. And this event's session, the topic has been selected as role of NRENs in shielding internet fragmentation. So that is our topic for today. We all know what is internet fragmentation. Just to trickle your thoughts, internet fragmentation is splitting of internet into many different smaller networks. So what is the impact? The impact is sometimes different people sitting in the same location, they see same information differently. That can be one thing. Or same person sitting in different location sees information differently. That is the impact of internet fragmentation. Now why, why this is happening, or is it good or bad, or how we can stop it if it is bad, that thing will be discussed today. And we have our panelist here, MD Ariful Islam. He is manager from BdREN. I will request him to come to the forefront. Professor Chengqing An, I'm sorry if I could not pronounce it correctly. It is very difficult for me. Associate researcher from Tsinghua University, please come forward. Vatsala Dayananda, right? Operations manager from LEARN, Lanka Research and Education Network, please come forward. Rajan Parajuri, very easy name for me to pronounce. He is a PhD, Executive Director of the Nepal Research and Education Network, very known face in the APAN community. Dr. Bu Song Cho, Principal Researcher and the Director of CERNET Center at KISTI, Korea Institute of Science and Technology Information. I am proud to have him as my panelist. And Professor Jamil Ahmed, Senior Member IEEE and Member IT from Higher Education Commission of Pakistan. Please take your chairs, please. As this is the panel discussion, so I would like to present topic by topic, and I shall expect some comments from the panelists one by one. So as I was mentioning, what is internet fragmentation and the factors affecting fragmentation. So first of all, we know that there are many different government regulations that create internet fragmentation. And to specially look into it, how NRENs can play its role, that is more important for us. If we talk about government regulations, then government regulations, the acts and laws, how they are affected, that will be our main topic of discussion, how the acts and laws are getting threatened. And we know that the internet is supposed to be a global open architecture. So how this architecture is being affected, that is our prime concern. And may I start with the panelist from Bangladesh, MD Ariful Islam, whether he has any comments on the government's rules and regulations being affected by any government rule, internet fragmentation is being affected by government rules and regulations. Do you want to present any slides or? I believe I have your slides stored somewhere. This one?
Cybersecurity, okay. Cybersecurity Act. Security Act. Slide sir. Good morning, you all. As chair is speaking about the government regulation, so I would like to introduce the Cybersecurity Act, by which actually government regulate the cyberspace of Bangladesh. So if we see the formation of the act and the policies over the year in Bangladesh, first act was the Telecommunication Act, which was supposed to enacted in 2001, and it was basically on telecommunication, and under this act a commission was formed. And if you say, then 2006 the first ICT Act was introduced, where basically e-commerce and the digital signature things was addressed. And finally 2018 government come up with the Digital Security Act. Basically this is the first law that was enacted by which government like to govern the cyberspace and the cybercrime happening over cyberspace. And after it was basically reviewed into 2023 with the Cybersecurity Act. And basically the feature of the cybersecurity was basically the Cybersecurity Act 2000 was enacted in September 2023, replacing the Digital Security Act, which was enacted in 2018. The primary objective of this law is to embed the cybersecurity, enhance the digital security, and the regulation online online content. It focuses on preventing digital offenses, ensuring accountability, and protecting national cybersecurity. However, while the law strengthens security, it also sparked debate on the impact on freedom of speech, digital rights, and internet openness. I mean, it will lead to the internet fragmentation. And the key feature is actually, it basically, the new version of the government basically always like to dominate on the people and the free speech like this. So this was the new version of the Act 2018. Remaining, actually it retained the many provision of the Digital Security Act, which was enacted in 2018. But under this Act, it was established cybersecurity agencies. Who are the cybersecurity agencies? Who are the basically bodies to oversight the security threats and the response? And under this law, government actually empower the law and enforcement authorities to search, arrest, detain individual and block and remove the content which goes to state or any emotion of the people. But the concern is they have empowered without any warrants, they can arrest anybody. This is the big concern. So government basically okay. So I just going to the fragmentation of internet. So what actually lead to the people and what is the impact on the open internet? One major concern is impact major concern of impact of CSA 2023 on the open internet. A open internet basically support free communication, unrestricted access to the information, and minimal government's intervention. However, CSA, there is a risk of censorship and content suppression. The law allows authorities to remove content and remove the digital content which could use to suppress political opinions, journalism, and activism. I mean, online activism. And it enforces people to use digital the prohibited application website like VPN and Tor to access the internet content. Impact of the CSA. Okay. So I come to the main part, fragmentation. What contribution of this law in internet fragmentation? CSA strict content regulation and the enforcement powers could contribute to internet fragmentation. Internet fragmentation basically refer to the divided of internet where government enforce different digital policies that restricts cross-border data flow. So under the CSA 2023, there is an increased risk of censorship, with the authorities of blocking access to the global platform like the Facebook, YouTube, and access to the global knowledge and the disrupt business operation that rely on international digital services over the government-controlled digital platform, limited digital freedom in Bangladesh. The contributing factor to the internet fragmentation in Bangladesh, the government policies and the legal frame restricting digital freedomness, increased the surveillance and the monitoring of the online communication, blocking international website deemed as a threat, and develop of national infrastructure, limited global access. This is the impact of the Cybersecurity Act 2023 and lead to the internet fragmentation. Then, while cybersecurity is essential, it must be balanced digital rights and the open internet. So, how we can balance? So, ensure the transparency. If we maintain the transparency in cybersecurity regulation to prevent the misuse of the law, protect freedom and expression while addressing cyber threats, strengthening data protection policies with judicial oversight, and promote the digital literacy response cybersecurity practices. If we can make the awareness to the people, we can actually digital literacy. We can balancing the freedom of internet and fragmentation. So encourage, contribute, and if we can continue the dialogue with the stakeholder and the users, we can basically balancing with the cyber security preventing the fragmentation. So CSA 2020 aim to enhance the security but raise concern over the digital freedomness. So striking a balance between the security and the openness is crucial, and ongoing dialogue and the legal refinement will also frame the future impact of the internet, open internet. So thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Ariful Islam. So we found that in Bangladesh, there were many different acts on cybersecurity. First came probably ICT Act 2014. Then it was replaced by Digital Security Act 2018, and then Cyber Security Act 2023. One replacing the other, but the status remains almost similar. It is mostly choking of freedom of expression and the thwarting the voices of media and journalists. Okay, so can I take some comments from Sri Lanka? Please.
Hi, good morning. So I think in Sri Lanka also the status is the same. So at the moment we have recent acts, Online Safety Act and Cyber Security Act. In 2024 we have introduced these two acts, and also we have Data Protection Act, Personal Data Protection Act. It is from 2022, but very recently, a few days ago, the government has decided to postpone the enforcement of this act because of the pressure coming from the public and other interest groups like human rights activists, because these laws are very criticized by the people like human rights point of view, because that hinders the your right to expression. So in Sri Lanka, the main regulatory body is TRCSL, Sri Lanka Telecommunication Regulatory Commission in Sri Lanka. It is under the direct purview of the executive president. So as similar to Bangladesh, these acts can prevent the lot of the digital rights of the general public, and it hinders freedom of expression. There are a lot of criticism against these acts and policies in Sri Lanka as well. So like these laws can be very, the governments can misuse these laws, interpret it as they want, and there are a lot of comments coming from. So we will explore these in upcoming conversations Tawrit is planning to have different topics. So I would we can talk more in the
Okay, thank you.
yeah. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Can I take some comments from Mr. Jamil? What about Pakistan?
Okay, thank you very much. I think, have the similar kind of situation in the South Asian countries. We have a couple of authorities and act in Pakistan as well. One is called PICA, which is Prevention of Electronics Crime Act. This was published and issued in 2016, and recently it is updated now. And there's again some issues, political issues, because it also prevents the journalists to publish digital information on the internet. So there is also some kind of agitation was going on, but I think they have settled down that issue. But the important body in Pakistan is PTA, which is Pakistan Telecom Authority. They actually regulate everything, not only the contents, but also the digital infrastructure. That also come under PTA. That is the main, which is an independent autonomous body, as operates under the direct supervision of Prime Minister of Pakistan. So it's a quite, I think, is a powerful body. And the chairperson of the PTA is actually reporting to the Prime Minister of Pakistan. So it's you can say at the level of the minister, federal minister. So that actually contributed a lot to the Pakistani digital infrastructure. Along with that, we have another funds that's called Universal Services Funds, which actually help the remote areas to actually install infrastructure, putting base stations, exchange, and so on. That is Universal Fund Services. The money comes there. There's the tax on the telecom operators, 0.05% tax is coming to that USF, which is Universal Services Funds. So it's funded by the private sector actually. So it's a good sustainable model. I think Pakistani government did a lot during the last 20 years on improving the infrastructure, digital infrastructure. But the main issue that the fragmentation that you mentioned with us is the access to the global data. That is the main issue, because Pakistan is a developing country and struggling with the economy these days. So we have a lot of issues accessing outside Pakistan. That is the major issue, like the submarine, the undersea cable. That is always, we have some problem with that. Last week even we had a problem with the serious problems. So then we are cut up in many cases because of the undersea cable. That is the major issue. Where we can then, I think a situation like this can help us.
You are connected with SIMI 4?
We are connected with a number of, there are 3-4 cables which goes
If
to
one
Qatar.
is connected, then the redundancy is there, right?
Yeah, there's some part like universities, what we have done. I came from Higher Education Commission, so university has a different network which is connected to Singapore for the European and other countries. But inside the university network is actually gone by the Higher Education Commission, which is actually, I'm looking after the higher education infrastructure, which is a huge network. It's 6,000 plus kilometer cable, fiber optic cable that we have leased from the telecom operators. And that is independent, they total our own cable. We are paying for that a huge amount, and that we are recovering from the universities. 400 plus universities and campuses and colleges are attached to that network, this PERN. The PERN is actually a huge, we have presence in 70 cities in Pakistan. And along with that, what we have a problem in Pakistan with the last mile connectivity, that is another, which is just 10 Gbps, which is like connecting to the hubs that we have created in the 70 cities. So a university which is located in the remote areas of the city, let's see in the north somewhere, and that is connected to the main hub of the PERN, that the last mile connectivity is another major issue that we are facing. We don't have much infrastructure. So this, that what happens to this, the problems come to the student, because student, you might know Pakistan is number 3, number 4 in the freelancing business these days. First, I think, is the US, and then UK and Pakistan is number 3. Brazil is number 4. Sometimes we are number 4. Brazil is number 3. So, and it's mainly student, they actually contributing to freelancing business. And when there is problem with the internet, then the student, they are suffering a lot and they are not creating a good business. So that is, and these are some when the international connectivity is a serious issue for Pakistan. That is.
So what is the main ICT Act that is there, that is prevalent in Pakistan at this
Yeah, the main, there are many, a number of acts. Now we have a group also on SIRG, that is called SIRG, the Cyber Security Response Group. Again, I am also a member of that group. That is the response to any cyber security. And so sometimes we have problem with the religious and cultural issues. That's why then PTA and those kind of bodies that come into, and they remove those kind of contents. Because, and that everybody would say like this, that the government should protect the local norms and values of the people. And the sentiment
When it
of
was
the,
enacted?
so
When it was enacted, this Cybersecurity Act?
this was in 2023.
2020.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will come back to you
Yeah,
again.
good.
So let's hear something from Busang. What is happening in Korea?
Yes, I'm not expert for the act and the law for the cybersecurity, but KISI is we operate our national research networks, and also we are connected to the commercial internet. So what I know is the act and the laws for the security is focusing on the how to keep the personal data, not the infrastructures. Infrastructure is maintained by each organization. Is top body is the National Security Agency. They are just asked to how to secure their infrastructures and with the National Security agencies. So in terms of infrastructures, I think there isn't the bad act or the laws in there, but just that there also we are focusing on how to keep the personal data over the researchers and in individual. And now we also focusing on the data, research data. So how to secure the research data internally, or sometimes our customers wanted to upload the data in the cloud, public cloud. So in South Korea, the AWS and Microsoft they built their own data centers, and they also wanted to keep their public data. So in that cases, they also need some authority from our national security agency. It's like some kind of the authority program was there. So maybe I heard in this year there was follow the authorities that is pushed by the national security agency. So it could be the research also can be uploaded the data to the public cloud and can then download it. That's all.
Okay, I will come to that data part later. And can we hear something from China, Professor Cheng Wing? Everybody wants to listen what's happening in China.
I think the situation is similar, so I would like to dive into the details. Sorry. Thank you. I think the situation is similar in China, so I would like to dive into the details. After a while, I will give some examples. Thank you.
Thank you. Rajan?
Yes, I think these days gradually most of the governments are treating that these internet and these infrastructures are posing risks to the government operations and other activities. And so we are not alone. So in case of Nepal as well, we are in the similar situations. There are a couple of things like Nepal government approved the recent one is a national cybersecurity policy that was approved in 2023. and it took a lot of time for the approval as well, and the government have to amend some provisions after there is some protest against that policies as well. And recently, the another one is social media bill that is currently tabled in the parliaments, and government is trying to regulate these things. Yeah, from the government side, they need some kind of regulation, but the idea is like is the clear issue that the restrictions process regulation. So the users are agree with these regulation things, but the government is trying to more restrictions. And another aspect is it is still proposed national internet gateways also proposed in the country, but at the current context, service providers are free to get connected with the upstream providers, mostly from the India. From the government side, it's easier for management, so I think that there is some significant concerns regarding this national gateway, as well as it will be and issues with the traffic management and the people.
Yeah,
are.
I will come to the gateway part later.
All right, that's it. So the first is yeah. So I think it's a social media bill. So that is the hard cake for us at this moment.
When it was enacted?
No, it's just proposed.
It is proposed.
Yeah, it's still in the discussion in the parliament.
At the moment, you have only Cybersecurity Act.
No, that is approved. That is not the act. That is the policy. So that is
policy.
approved. But that is more focused on some very fundamental things, right? But earlier the draft was very serious, and governments put back from that provisions.
Okay, thank you. So our next factor, which is contributing to the fragmentation of internet, is economy and business. So if we go into details, it can be imposition of taxes or some zero-rated services, senders pay model. I will listen about this model from our panelist from Korea. So is there anything in Bangladesh? Let's start with imposition of taxes. You can come here also.
So yes, this is a common phenomena in Bangladesh. Like recent days, the previous regime, the government was actually try to impose taxes and try to come up Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube to register their companies and local in Bangladesh and impose taxes. And this sort of things is happening from the government side, and it's cost the business operation cost, increase the business operation cost for the service provider, and that is basically then the service provider from the different territories are actually they actually lose their interest to invest in Bangladesh and so other things. Yeah.
So eventually it was not imposed, right?
No, eventually it was not imposed. Even government try, but that cannot succeed.
But I know that they tried with Google, right?
Google, yeah.
Yeah, but eventually they backed off.
Yeah.
The government backed off.
Yeah.
Okay. And about any zero-rated service, any service discrimination from rate perspective?
Yeah, this is very common phenomena in Bangladesh. And if you think about in terms of the internet fragmentation, there is a From FCC, there is during pandemic, there is a concern about the net neutrality. But in Bangladesh, you will see many cases that the provider actually rated the different services, prioritized the different services with the cost of money and so other things. So it is common phenomenon in Bangladesh. Yeah.
For open architecture of internet, for the audience, let me clarify. Normally, the open architecture means that all traffic should be treated at the same rate, or there should not be any discrimination about the traffic. But some of the companies, they come out with zero rate. Some of the companies, they come out with very economic rate. So that created some sort of discrimination. And the internet policymakers, they don't like it. They treat it as an internet fragmentation. So any imposition of such taxes in Nepal, Rajan? Or any business economic issues?
Yes, mainly our provider, they have to pay for the royalties, and they have the other provisions that Rural Telecommunication Development Fund. So the providers should have to support for these two areas. So I think the royalty is fine, but the RTGF is the another thing. So that adds the extra layers and the difficulties for the ISPs. But at the same time, that fund has been mobilizing for the rural connectivity by the governments. I think regarding these economic related aspects, I think I will speak a little more on the internet shutdowns. There is some issues with the foreign currency.
Okay,
exchange.
it will come later.
That will later. Thanks.
Okay. So our colleague from China.
I think it's mostly because they want to protect the local business, the local company, I think. Thank you.
So normally your government impose taxes on foreign companies?
Some kind of, yeah. I think because between the contesting, they want to protect the local business.
But does that create any discrimination, or do you
Yes.
think that
Yes.
it is creating it is contributing to the fragmentation of internet?
Yes, certainly. Such as some examples, such as just now, Tesla, they have just announced the publication of their automatic driving assistance, but they can't train it in China because China don't allow them to use data from China to train their model. And also the US government, they don't permit their model to be trained in China. So
Okay, you are talking about automobile. We want to limit ourselves within the software applications.
I'm talking about the consequence, the impact. Yeah.
Suppose
Yeah.
WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Do you allow WhatsApp, or do your government allow WhatsApp in your country? So those sorts of application, if prohibition of any application from the user's perspective.
Yes, I think most of the government the asked forced that data collected from their country must be stored in their country. I think in Europe, in most countries, this is the same. Yeah.
Yeah, that is actually contributing into the fragmentation of internet.
Yes, yes.
That is our topic of discussion. Like USA is not allowing TikTok in their country.
Yes,
So,
yes. Every country, they want to protect their local business. Yeah, some kind of.
what about Sri Lanka?
When it comes to taxes, we have value-added tax, which is 18% now, that is passed down to the users, and also we have telecommunication levy, which is also passed down to the users, which is 15% at the moment, and from
That is for the ISPs you are talking about.
no, that is passed down to the users.
Yes, but
Yes.
those taxes are imposed on the ISPs, not on
Yeah.
not on the content provider. I
No,
mean.
no, no. Those taxes are for the users, but that again, like we have to pay a huge sum of money to access internet. That is what I want to
Yeah, that is
express.
creating some sort of
Yes.
digital divide. Yeah,
Yes, and
true.
zero-rated services like in Sri Lanka, most of the ISPs provide free data, a chunk of free data to access social media mostly. That again discriminate against some of the other services. So that prevents the open of the internet. So as well as like when it comes to the business point of view, in Sri Lanka, PayPal is not used. Like it is prohibited to use PayPal. So that's PayPal is an international payment portal. So it prevents it prevents international collaborations, businesses, the people who are freelancers, like in Pakistan, there are in Sri Lanka as well. A lot of students are freelancers, so they use different platforms, but the restrictions again, PayPal has become a huge issue for
Yeah,
freelancers.
probably PayPal is restricted in Bangladesh also.
Yeah. So there are a lot of those kinds of issues in Sri Lanka as well. So, yes.
What about Pakistan?
I can say there are two ways Pakistani government needs to impose taxes. One is on the connectivity. Connectivity includes even the hardware and software, everything. And another is what business you generate from the internet services. That is the thing. So there's a lot of incentive when you generate any business and that is exported outside. If you export, you are making export, then there's a lot of incentive these days from the Pakistanis, encouraging a lot. People are now trying to export, especially the software houses and that. The export that has reached from $300 million per year in 19 reaches to now 3.2 billion in the last year. So it's a huge increase in the export, the IT services and IT related products. And the connectivity, there are some charges, but in some cases for young people, for students, it is totally free. They don't need to pay anything. If they are studying in any university, through the ED-ROM, they can access internet activities anywhere. They don't need to pay really anything in that case. So there's a lot of incentive, especially by the IT in Pakistan these days.
Is there any charge for any of the content providers?
Well, that is very important. The contents provider, that is, there are taxes on that.
There are taxes.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And does it vary from content
Well,
provider?
there
to
varies.
content
Yeah, there's varies.
So, Mr. Busang, I want to know about the senders pay model that was introduced in Korea, and it created a lot of repercussion actually.
Yeah, just in Korea, you know about we only the rule is center pay models, but it's there are some advantage and disadvantages there. Some recently.
Could you speak about the senders pay model to the audience, because probably many of them don't know about senders pay.
Okay, the senders model is that if the one network is connected to others, the billing system is only works for senders if the senders gives transmitter some kind of the amount of the traffic. Based on the traffic, they needed to pay to the another their partners. It partner means they're connected to the networks. So this model was worked in Korea. And users in the people just only to pay for some kind of money to access the internet. The internet with
that means the big content provider,
they
push more data, so they need to pay more, right?
Right. Yes. It's in Korea. We had the big telcos, 3 or 4, and the small telcos connected to the big telcos, and some kind of content provider, their data center was connected to some telcos, and they also transmit the data to big telco. In these cases, content provider need to pay for some money, to amount of big money to the commercial providers. That is the issue. Sometimes things makes it some difficult to build up the new infrastructure because they don't want to make some traffic to go to the another the telcos. It means they want their traffic should stay in their big telcos networks.
Yeah, so that they can save money.
Yeah, they want to save money. So it means this rule hinders.
And also each content provider needs to make a separate contract with the provider.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
With the telecom provider.
Yeah,
So
telecom provider.
that is also a big issue.
Yeah, big
How
issue.
many contracts should I sign?
I don't know. I don't know. It's so also it's sometimes it's make some problem in overseas content providers.
Yeah.
Yes, you know already about our some big ISPs, the fighting with Netflix. With Netflix, their traffic is from the U.S. or other place transmitted to the Korea. In that cases, they
They are
cannot.
not paying anything.
Yeah, they're not paying to the using for the internet. But yeah,
So local content provider, they will prefer their servers to stay
Right.
in overseas countries.
yes,
In that case, they don't need to pay.
yeah, right, yeah.
So eventually this model, it didn't sustain, right? Or it is still there?
Still there,
It is still
I
there.
think, still there. It works internally in Korea, but it's some makes some issue for the overseas the providers.
Okay, it is very interesting to me because for that data, user is also paying for using that data.
Right,
And the content provider is also paying
right.
for their data being used. Right. Okay, thank you. So if we go to the next chapter or next issue, then censorship. That under censorship, I could identify that blocking sites based on religious and cultural taboos, it can happen. Digital sovereignty, it means control of your infrastructure, your data, and your software application. It can be anything. We spoke about data, but it can be infrastructure, it can be software application as well. And the internet shutdown, probably that is the most burning topic. Everybody wants to listen about internet shutdown. The most recent shutdown that was happening in Bangladesh during, or the most extended shutdown, I will say, that happened in July, in last July. So I will ask Mr. Ariful to say something about the internet shutdown.
So this is the common phenomena from the every government, but it was really exceptional for Bangladesh. It was basically internet was shut down most probably 11 days continuous, and both broadband and the mobile network. And still, eventually, when the mobile internet, when the broadband was open, however, the social media was blocked, and eventually it was more than it was started from the July 18 and extend most probably August 4 or 5. So this is the extreme case in Bangladesh, but even to surface the political movement or any other movement against the government basically shut down the internet or slow down the internet, and this is going happening in most cases. And if any cultural taboos, religious, so any sort of emotional misinformation happen, government try to slow down, and any activities in protest happening in any universities or colleges, the sort of things is happening regularly in Bangladesh. So this is
So
actually,
my question is, who will judge whether it is misinformation, disinformation, or it is a true information? Who will judge?
okay. So it's a norm basically. Internet it's a norm basically. So there will be a judicial body who will actually judge whether it is the misinformation or the right information. So other than the government, to oversight the government activities, so whether government is a legal movement, government try to try to block the movement with tagging the this is the misinformation. So if somebody judicial bodies top of the government oversee the sort of things, then I can then it will be resolved to tagging something misinformation or disinformation like this.
Yeah, if it happens in that way, if it is decided in the court, then it is fine. But what happens in Bangladesh or maybe in other countries also, that we find government, they don't agree that they have shut it down. But nobody is getting internet. That is the reality, that is the harsh reality, and that creates confusion, that creates demonstration, irritation among these citizens. That is the problem. So Mr. Rajan was looking for saying something on internet shutdown.
Yeah, it's mainly due to the foreign currency exchange issue. And it is not the other aspects. So I think during the last years we observed around 2-3 hours shutdowns. That is because of the delay approvals from the payments to the upstream providers. Actually, internet service providers, so they need to get the approvals for this foreign exchange, foreign currency exchange from the telecommunications authorities, and then that will goes to the central banks, right? But the problem was the process was delayed. And as a result, then upstream providers shut down the internet for a while. I mean, that a kind of to create the pressures for the governments as well. And
So
recently,
did it happen for all the operators? The whole internet was shut down.
no, mostly for the private internet service providers,
Only for
but
the
it's still the
private.
government providers, they have the connectivity.
Okay, in our country, what happens during examination, some of the mobile internet, they shut it down. And also during national polls, they shut the internet down. Or any zonal polls, they shut the internet down. Is it similar in Nepal or in other countries?
I think, yeah, that is not still happen, but maybe I think in coming days will be more strict for I think all the other countries as well. Even in the national polls earlier, I think there was not an issue with the internet
So
halt.
you are going to follow our bad examples.
No, actually, we as users we are not following, but obviously the governments.
Government will follow.
Yeah.
In China, what happens in China?
I think there isn't internet shutdown in China. We have some censorship, but in the internet, I think it's very easy for everyone to have his voice be heard. So there are some bad information. So I think some censorship, according to the law, is good, yeah, because we need to keep the internet, no fake news, no some bad, some such as sexy or this no good information. So I think this my.
But what is published in Internet Society web portal, that is, it is there that China has a centralized firewall, and normally firewalls are placed to block traffic from a single platform. Suppose I am doing some malicious activities, firewall will prevent me, or my application is doing some malicious activities, firewall will prevent me. But in your firewall, you prevent the whole infrastructure. So That is creating real internet fragmentation. So what is your viewpoint?
Yes. I think most censorship was done by the platform, such as we have WeChat, we have Weibo, and all this information. The platform, such as TikTok, such as all this video platform, they have to.
No, with platform I mean that individual laptop or individual desktop.
Yes, they have
But
to.
the government is not supposed to block a whole infrastructure,
No,
a whole campus.
No, not supposed to block that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Sri Lanka?
Sri Lanka also infamous for its social media shutdowns. So like in 2018 we had a social media shutdown, and then at 2019 when that tragic Easter bombing attack happened, there's a long social media shutdown. And recently also when there was this economic crisis, there were a lot of protests. So again there was social media shutdowns. So not the total internet. And even because of the culture, and like Sri Lanka is a multi-religion, multicultural country, so the adult content like porn sites are blocked in Sri Lanka. So what happens is when like social media bans, or when you cannot access some kind of websites, what happens is people who are tech savvy, they use VPNs. So that again has serious security issues, right? So not in examinations or those places, because those kinds of shutdowns happen,
But
especially
even
social
for
media.
social media
Yes,
shutdown,
social medias.
as you were mentioning that most of the businesses, small
Yes,
businesses,
yes.
they do business through social media.
Yes.
So that creates a huge repercussion and
Yes,
huge loss
yes.
of business, loss of trade.
Yeah, like we depends on tourism so much. So like think you came to Sri Lanka in one of these times, and social media is blocked, so you cannot even talk to your family in your country, right? That would affect the tourism a lot. Like you won't be ever coming to Sri Lanka again if that happens to you in one of your visits, right? So even like I read somewhere that there was about 30 million USD loss, like the short-term consequences, but there are a lot of long-term consequences when things like that happens, because we are so depends on now like the marketing, social media marketing. So
Yeah,
once you
mostly in each and every country. Now the
Yes.
marketing, it happens through social media.
Yeah. So once you shut down, that what happens, right? You are losing a lot of business. So that's a very, 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 very tragic
But
situation
normally
in Sri
during
Lanka.
polls, during examination,
No, but
it is
in
not stopped.
I'm not sure, in some election points there were some shutdowns. But again, at that economic crisis, there were a lot of protests happening. There were some signal jammings in that area where a lot of protests happened. Other than that, no. Yes.
Okay, thank you. What about Pakistan?
Anyway, this is also a very interesting topic, and here we have sometimes it's good to shut down internet to protect people actually from a terrorist attack and so on. This is in our context, in Pakistani context. We do that. We have something like smart shutdown on the internet. If there's any procession, anything going on in some area, so that area is shut down because of to protect people because of the ongoing terrorism.
No, that is fine, but
yeah, this.
does government agree
No,
that
government normally there's nothing in our country like to shut down internet and some, but there is some now. There's another serious issue is the contents, the materials on the net. That is very important. In universities, we do not have any restriction on it, but we are now planning to come up with something that the materials which is circulated on the universities' websites through the internet, that there should be some kind of censorship, especially, again, to protect people actually. This is good for the people, to protect them from any, like mistrust and so on. The fake news that mentioned by the Chinese friends as well, the fake news, that is a serious issue we need to think about this, how we can detect fake news. And this mistrust in our society, especially in South Asian countries, the trust deficit in our societies, what is put on the net, everybody start believing on it, and actually sometimes it's not true. So how we need to have an academic maybe solution to this. So there are shutdowns in our country, there are shutdowns everywhere, there are these kind of things going on, and this is sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes good, sometimes for bad intention, like to gain some political advantages, that may be. But if you have political motivated contents on the internet is going on and it's creating a lot of religious issues and a lot of disintegration in your society, you have to shut down these things, because if that is misused by people, they maybe the non-state agents, if they are using it. So we have to go. So I don't consider it a bad thing to shut down the internet in our society, especially, and it is also not bad thing to protect people, to educate them about the contents, what they put on the net, and especially social media, which creates a lot of issues in our societies. There's the mistrust, the fake news going on, personal attacks and those. So that we need to educate our people. This is the important thing. Like in some societies, maybe this will be something strange, censorship. But in our society, censorship is a very good thing. I think it should go on, but we need to educate our people not to do these and this. So that's very important. There's a lot of responsibility on us, especially this internet connectivity between the universities. This need to be really channelized and we need to have a standard protocol. What should be put, what should not be put on this.
Yeah, we used to look for digital certificate, verified one. Now we need to look for digitally certified news, that some authority should be there who will certify that it is verified news, like, right? Like VeriSign, if they can certify that this is verified news. What
But
about
even
Korea?
people will use fake there as well, fake signatures, because it's digital. Once something is digital, it's not in our control. It's out of the control. There's many software coming. You can have anything with any, and now especially with the AI, artificial intelligence, you can even put voices of the people, put many words together, and then somebody like will be speaking in my own voice. So even I would not believe on it. So we need to really educate people. That's the important thing. If you educate people, there's something not very like, make it like less may be important to the people.
Let us hear from our Korean friend. It's a developed country, so.
Internet should not shut down. So far, we didn't experience about that things, but yes, in the national poll and some elections, our systems, not the full system, it's just the guide for the where is the poll site. This kind of information was uploaded on
So
the
local shutdown.
Yeah, just not shut down. It's
Not
an
shut down.
attack to fight the cyber. Cyber attack was done, but it should be the natural shutdown. So, yeah, that's all what I know about it.
Okay, so there is a web portal, pulseinternetsociety.org/shutdowns. So if you go there, you can put the name of the country, and you can see that in last 1 year, how many shutdowns were there. So I could find it interesting, that's why I put it there. And the national security, we almost covered all the issues. The internet kill switch that is there in Nepal. The internet kill switch is something like your whole internet, the country's internet is coming to a single platform, and from that platform it is getting distributed. So I believe in Bangladesh we have the similar structure, that whole internet is coming to a single point, and it is very easy for the government to monitor. Actually, they take this opportunity, or they create this, the government creates this opportunity to monitor the traffic, not anything else. And in Bangladesh, if you take the whole pipe to a single platform, then it actually chokes the traffic. So it is a huge bottleneck. I don't know, I can listen from Nepal, what is happening. Is it creating any bottleneck in Nepal?
No, ThaiREN actually, I think it's proposed. It's not
Or it's not
yeah,
implemented
it's
yet?
not there, right? So actually, government is proposed a national internet gateway. So that is a part, and I think that is not forwarded for last 2 years. Actually, it is still on hold. So the idea of the government is centralize those things so that it will be easily manageable. But I think this will not be easily happen in context of Nepal. So we don't have any these internet kill switch so far now.
Okay, in China, you have a single platform, right? Going
yes.
traffic outside?
Yes, the traffic, all the traffic.
Is it creating any bottleneck for the traffic, any congestion?
No congestion. It's still, yeah. It's
So you are
low.
happy with this setup?
I think it's okay for our life.
What about Sri Lanka?
Physically, no. But the TRCSL, Telecommunication Regulatory Commission of Sri Lanka, regulates the ISPs, internet service providers. So they can regulate, like they can tell us, okay, you cannot give access to these places. That kind of things happen, but not the
Internet,
single.
my point is internet is not going
No.
out to the overseas countries or to tier 1 providers through a single point.
No, not that I know of, because
Okay.
I'm not
So
a technical person.
each ISP can get
Yes.
connected to multiple tier 1.
Yes.
Okay.
There are like one of the ISPs majorly owned by the government. There are rest of the ISPs who are privately owned, so they have
They are
their
free
own.
to connect to any of the tier 1 providers.
Not that I know of. I couldn't check that part actually.
Okay.
The technical part. Yes.
In Pakistan, probably you were mentioning the
Yeah,
same thing.
I already mentioned, but we also, this VPN was a serious issue in recent days. You might have heard in the social media. There's connectivity to VPN that was restricted, and there was a firewall that was implemented, and that made the internet very slow. That's one thing, and we have multiple points. So Pakistan, I think it would be very difficult to have a single point where you disconnect everything. It's a huge country as well, so it's maybe sometimes not possible. But we are coming to these like in bit and pieces, like VPN connectivity, the local, the content censorship, and those things are coming. That will actually.
Yeah, that is another impairment of privacy, right?
Yeah, but, of course, there's, as I mentioned before, that sometimes you have to do these things, but there will be no single point. But there is some discussion going on this. There should be a single point from where you shut down, but that will not be required really in a country like Pakistan. So that's why there's a
In
lot
Korea,
of
there is no internet kill switch.
Yeah, my short word is Korean internet was commercialized, so it means each body can make their connectivity, make their own right to the access the other network. Even in our ClearNet, we don't need to push it by our government. We can do our own, based on our own policy.
Okay.
That's all.
And next come
There is no any regulatory over, regulatory body for internet service provider, I guess, in Korea.
any centralized regulatory body for internet service providers.
Yes, we have, but it's not for this kind of the connectivities or not just the thing is what I mentioned is we are focusing on how to secure our information for the personal individual information. That is
Not a
all.
single point of connectivity.
Yeah, not a single point.
Sorry, can I ask a question? Sorry, I'm just wondering, you talk about single point, but Starlink is up there. I subscribe to Starlink, how can the government control me?
That's why government is not allowing Starlink in our country.
Okay. I mean, it's going to be a whole separate thing, you know. The way we're going to access and the ability of government even control, unless you say, okay, I shall Starlink completely, and I hope no one bought a receiver receiver, somewhere, and received it. It's changing very, very fast. Sorry for bringing it up. I mean.
No, it's a good point. It's a good point.
I think this is one of the reasons they cannot actually shut down the Starlink internet. So government are going to shut down the internet only because they cannot control the social media like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. If they can control those sort of social media, they no need to shut down the internet. I think.
So then technology and culture, and inside that I have bring here the world garden that is being implemented in especially some of the mobile network, accelerated mobile platform that was introduced, and also the zero-rated content. So can any of the panelists, it is open for you, come up with the impact of accelerated mobile platform? Probably it was introduced in Google platform to give the mobile users a better impression about their traffic. So it was eventually not implemented, but it was there, and as it was kind of proprietary for Google, only Google could only Google devised it out, and only Google could evaluate that, and that's why probably it was later not implemented. There are some traffic segmentation, barring a specific application from specific country, as we spoke about TikTok and WhatsApp, and also network segmentation, that some of the NRENs are there who are not allowing internet. So what is your concept about that? What NRENs should do? So I will come to Rajan, because his NREN is not allowing internet so far I know.
Yes, in our case, we only allow the RNE traffics. And the case for us is still it's not clear that for the allowing the internet, we need to get a license from the providers, the authorities. But for us, for RNA, so still there is not any provisions whether we need to take the license or not. And the context of Nepal is a little different. Actually, we are closely collaborating with internet service providers, and we are trying to harness that benefits because we use their infrastructures throughout the countries, and we thought that that is the model for us. So let's collaborate with internet service providers and get the link as cheapest as possible, so because we are not competing them for the internet connectivity. And so far, I think we are fine. So there is not any other issues. So internet service providers are very flexible for us. And even in some cases, they provide free links for those universities. We don't need to even pay for that infrastructure as well, because ISP supported for us. So I think, yeah, that is the model we are practicing. So far, we are satisfied with these models. Even, yeah, obviously there might have revenue and other areas, but if governments and other areas supports for these R&D sectors, then still we are not thinking that we need to get a license or not.
You don't allow content also, right?
Yeah, you're right. So we only
YouTube,
allows,
Facebook,
no, just I think they got R&D traffics, these 10 networks, and the other is we pair with the local internet exchange, so our users may have access to local bandwidth.
So keeping aside the fragmentation issue, is not it a sustainability challenge for NREN?
Yeah, I think, yeah, it depends. So how you want to take your moves, actually. For us, yeah, sustainability, financial sustainability is always an issue. But if government
Because
is,
why I am asking you, internet service is one of the, or is the prominent cash cow services for BdREN. So I think for LAN also, or for PERN also.
yeah,
But
but
how
there,
you can sustain without providing internet services and sacrificing that revenue? That was my
yes,
point.
yeah. Actually, yeah, there are some cases of other NRENs as well who are not affording the internet. But our case, yeah, is a membership fee, and actually, from the content side, we face challenges. Obviously, the first question is what do we get from having the connections with the research and education networks. So our more focus on more like we loving with the research infrastructure access, resources access. So we are not providing, we are not saying them that you will get a connection to the internet. So I think so far they are agree with these things.
Any one of the panelists wants to speak on this topic? Otherwise, I will move forward because we have only 13 minutes left. Okay, so let me move forward. Now,
Is there any possibility that
sir.
we can also participate?
Yes, sir.
eventually,
Of course, sir.
at the end of the session?
Of course, sir. Anytime, sir. Anytime.
Anytime? Okay.
Anytime. Anytime.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Well, and thank you very much, the speakers, the panelists. Despite my long academic background, I have
Sir,
not
could you
dwelt
please
much.
introduce yourself?
Well,
sir,
I'm
because-
coming to that. I have not dwelt much in the internet arena because it didn't exist in that way those days. But today, since I am the chairman of the University Grants Commission, I have to look after the interest of the universities and the colleges, and particularly through what BdREN is doing through Mr. Tawhi's leadership. It has become very interesting for me to know about various aspects that were discussed from the beginning with Mr. Ariful delivering about this. I come to that point. The Cyber Security Act of
Acts and
2023.
regulations.
It didn't come suddenly. It came step by step by the government of Bangladesh, and definitely this has to a great extent taken away the freedom of the people, and the purpose was to curb the rights of the people. And it appears that it existed in other countries like Nepal, like in Sri Lanka, like in Pakistan. But Korea was maybe an exception that was probably protecting the right of the people, protecting the personal data. And China was like China, because you had to do many things to come to this level that you have reached today. So I was just wondering whether this Cyber Security Act 2023 still exists today, despite the change of the government, and what the government is thinking about it. Maybe you shall answer to that later, if you kindly note it down. I shall come to other aspects also, like imposition of taxes. Definitely imposition of taxes on internet providers is important. As China has said, this is for internal business, your national business. But China is more international today than national. It has taken the market everywhere in the world. Anywhere you go, any shop you go in USA, you find materials or goods from China. So whether by protecting national interest, you are actually protecting or getting away from your international interest, that I was was wondering, because following you, what America is doing, America is also imposing taxes so that Chinese goods are not available in, or not cheaper in USA than what it was before. About blocking sites, definitely Bangladesh is a glaring example. I was just wondering who learned from whom. Definitely Bangladesh was topping the list, blocking the sites, particularly during July 18 to August 4. But despite that, how this generation Zoomers could reach out to people and could gather so many people to counter this blocking of sites, I was just wondering. But there was one beautiful aspect of blocking sites that was probably in 2001 election, where the government was advised by a former chief election commissioner not to allow the mobile sites to people so that the election is not hampered. If they know about the election result before it is published, maybe they will vandalize. That's why it was very successful that time. But during these recent days in July and August, it was terrible, terrible indeed. So I would like to get some comment how the students could overcome that. That was really a big answer, a big portion for me. I didn't get an answer to that yet. And about walled garden, well, I don't have much idea about walled garden because the garden is walled, so I couldn't enter. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. So actually, what I understand that students got access to the, if the internet is open, site is blocked, students can get access through using VPN, virtual private network. But if government doesn't allow VPN to pass through, I don't know what is the technology behind it. It is very difficult because VPN acts in a single port that we know technically, but it can switch port also. But how government is going to prevent that, that is a question for me also. And apart from that, let's move on. And if any of the panelists wants to give answers to Honorable Professor's question, I will open the platform, but as we have only 7 minutes more, let me conclude it in a graceful way. So the challenges for international laws application to cyberspace, there are fine challenges. There is no international treaty, existential disagreement. China will say, suppose there is an agreement, but the interpretation is different. China will say it in a separate way than what USA will explain it. Then interpretational changes, the jurisdictional complexity, the technology is moving at a faster pace than the laws, existing laws or the revised laws. The attributional challenges, that is, the territory is not defined for cyberspace. There are encryptions, proxies, which country is doing the interference, nobody knows because they are using some other country as a proxy country. And also the accountability, it is very difficult because the laws, they are not modified enough to take care of the evolving cyber security or evolving changes in the cyber world. So there are many different actors and we are one of them. That was our main topic. As internet service provider, government is an actor, there are international organizations, multinational corporations, but as NREN, what role we need to play as internet service providers? I am coming to that topic. So role of NRENs can be enhance global and regional collaboration. Here we are collaborating among the Asia Connect NRENs, and we can do advocacy through media, through our policymakers like our governments or the regulatory authorities, also through social media, engaging government and regulators, involving ISOC. ISOC promotes open internet architecture, so it is the mandate of ISOC to keep internet open and to keep it as global as possible, to make the standard, keep the standardizations open, to make it under a global standardization policy, and we can prepare case studies. So from here on, how we can proceed? So what we can do next? We want to do something more, okay? Targeting our next APAN and APAN next to next APAN. So we can do an internet impact assessment. What is that? We can create a checklist. We means even anyone from the audience. And what is the reward, that I will explain later. And also the panelists, I will request all the panelists to think about it. Considering your country perspectives, you can use a checklist to get started, that what are the issues that are contributing to the fragmentation of internet. Then you can plan it, plan your impact assessment, how and when you are going to do it. You can gather collaborators. Collaborators means those who are getting impacted. You can make a list and you can communicate with them, and you can do a preliminary analysis. The analysis form is available in the ISOC web portal. From there, I have tried to summarize it. There are two types of analysis. One is common objectives. It is very simple. You have to think more rather than filling it out. There are two types of preliminary analysis. One is common objective and another one is goals and enablers. As per ISOC, there are 4 common objectives of internet: that it must be an accessible infrastructure with open architecture, with decentralized management, and with neutral technology, general purpose network. So there are 5 common objectives. Oh, another one is common global identifier. So there are 5 common objectives, and there are 3 columns. 5 rows, 3 columns. Is there an impact on the internet? You can take any ICT Act or Cybersecurity Act, anything. That is your first step. And then you can analyze whether any of the clause of that act has any impact on internet. If it is so, then how could this property or principle be affected? How it is affecting the internet fragmentation? And then in the last column, what effect could this impact have on people? How people are getting affected? So you can list it down. Then there are enablers, goals and enablers, almost similar but a little bit different. The columns are same. Only thing is whether it is affecting the open architecture of internet, whether it is affecting the global connectivity, whether it is affecting the security and trustworthiness. So we can start filling out these tables. It will take time because you have to plan it accordingly. Once you can plan, then you can do this preliminary analysis, that is the 4th box. And once you finish it, we will arrange similar session in APAN60 so that you can present it here. And from that presentation, we can move with ISOC. We can share it with ISOC. maybe not all of them, a few of them with ISOC, so that ISOC can come up with its views, and then in APAN61, the SIG, the special interest group, it will be the responsibility of myself as chair of the SIG. We can prepare a case study to be published in ISOC. Now I know that this might be a tiring effort from all of you. I will give it to APAN to distribute it to all the members. But I can try to initiate a project in ISOC. They allow projects, they allow grants, so that we can do it and we can publish it in ISOC website. So that is my plan. So if you agree, we can move forward, and I will ask APAN board to approve our case, and we can move in a more positive way rather than only discussing and brainstorming. We can make it in pen and paper, and from APAN side, it will promote APAN also. APAN doesn't have any presence in ISOC, so it will promote APAN also. So if the audience, if any of you wants to share your ideas or views, you can come forward. Thank you, sir, for sharing your views. Only we got 2 views from the audience, one from Francis and one from our honorable chairman.
Yes, Taurid, I think it's a very good idea. So our focus should be on the obviously in the R&D sectors, and so far I updated that ISOCs they have been working with these other internet governance forums and other areas. So yeah, I think let's look at the issues that will be faced and that have been facing by these R&D sectors regarding this internet governance. I think this will be the good case.
Thank you.
Can APAN form a regional internet governance forum like other governance, other chapter, like other chapter?
Yeah, I was thinking it in that way. So before that, we want to move forward with some concrete substance. That was my view of going forward with some case study, and then I can propose APAN that, okay, fine, we can apply for an APAN chapter. Because NREN as internet service provider, they should have their spokesperson in ISOC also.
I don't know whether any other NREN have their footprint in government policy, but we don't have that much footprint in our government to make the policy inclusive with the NREN.
Yeah, but we have our ISP ISOC chapter over there. If we can move forward, and you are the governor, right?
Yeah, in case of Nepal, actually, I want to add some information. So usually governments and the Internet Governance Forum, so they are started to invite NRENs to these kind of discussions. So I think we need to approach this. Yeah, ISAC is the one areas, but the another things there is the Internet Governance Forum that is mostly led by the government sides.
IT forum is
yeah,
there.
government sides as well. So I think we need to influence them as well. Yeah.
Okay, with that, we are already 12:30. So thanks to all the panelists for their participation, and thanks to the audience for their patient hearing. And with that, I invite you to lunch, and we can wrap up this session. Thank you very much.